Before we take a look at working up a file, we want to go over to the business entity screen for a minute so you can see a little more about it. We're going to go down here to the bottom to the business entity database, click it, come over here to North Carolina Better Insurers, which is another bogus company. We've got contact information here. Nothing has been filled in, but you would click this button. Brings up a screen here for your, say, claims manager or claims handler that you're dealing with on a given claim. You can fill their information in here. You've got up to 4 spots to enter phone information or email information, etc. here. And then this is just a place for general information here. And we've got a spot over here for which is a multimedia container field where we can put a photo of the individual, or could be an audio file of instructions, whatever. We're going to delete it right now. This will go to all entities. We've got some options here on navigation. First goes to all entities of current type. So this is going to take us to all the insurers that are in the database at present. These, once again, are all bogus except for NFIP, which is a real person, as they say. We can go to all the entities in the database here, and it sorts them according to the, here we got adjuster company, agent, fire department, insurer, NFIP, information. In this case, this is adjuster information for NFIP. There's some flexibility with the way you set this up and use it. We've got billing information if it applies for a given entity. You can fill in the billing schedule, fee schedule here. The first column shows the loss up to amount of the loss with the fee, corresponding fee. You fill that out, and then the loss is figured in the statement of loss will generate a invoice, service invoice. If it's time and expense, you've got a place over here to put in your time rates, your billing rates for various items. Some of these are not used much anymore, but because of the legacy, I've included them. Some other places here for split rate, holdback rates. These don't interact with the program in any way. They're just for information purposes, similar to the screen down below. If it was filled in, we would click get rid of our input prompts, and we've got this field for entering miscellaneous information. Tax ID, as it may apply. And then the third item is miscellaneous information. Here you can enter PDFs with instructions for how to handle the claim. You can also enter audio or video content into these. The buttons are so that you can transfer that data, which are big consumers of memory. You can transfer it to the computer so that if you transfer the file to the iPad, you're not transferring all that data for all the claims that you're handling that are open, and for all the entities that you've got registered in your database. So there's some instructions in here. If we click here, which will tell you how to do this, but the one allows your images and files Let's see how it works here, which is which. Okay, 8 is stored, not stored or embedded in Abakosti. So it would not be transferred to the iPad if you transfer this Abakosti folder to the iPad. Otherwise, it would be, if you store it here in images and files, it will be transferred with the, it's embedded and will transfer with Abakosti, but it will increase the size of the file. Okay, we're going to skip some of these others. This one is for exporting data, which we won't go into right now in the single user version. Let's see, that would be for exporting your business entity list to, for whatever reason. Here you can also print the list, and here you can preview the data on the entity reps. Click here to go back, preview all the entities here with sorted by the type of entity. Okay, with that we're ready to go back to the file manager. File manager, well, let's see, there's a lot of information. Most of this information on either end and across the top comes from the loss notice. The various dates of processing, they're generated as you do the work up the report. After you've entered the information, then you click this button over on the right, which takes you to the detail list. We're going to go to the last one, which is a pretty simple hail claim. If we were just starting this, there would be no, this would be blank. This line right here in this portal would be blank. We would click new report, creates this and gives us number down here for the report number. Okay, let's see, we can go to the diary task here. We call the insured on a given date, and if we make contact, we click the contact button and it puts in the contact date up here. We can choose from some basic text for what it's about, and this is also editable by the user. This is just a field where you can enter a memo if you wanted to, or photo, other data. Then you go over here and enter the time of your inspection, scheduled inspection, the date and the time. Then once you've set up all your inspections, this one's set up for 3/28. If you want to see your list of what you're doing that day, you go over here to 3/28, click the go to, and it shows you your contact list for the day. If you were on the iPad, of course, it's a little different view. Something similar to, let's see, this. And it also has a place that gives you the, on the contact or task list, it gives you the insured's name and phone number, and down below the loss location information, and a button so that you can go to the navigation screen. When you're done, if you've inspected, you can click the inspection. It'll enter the inspection date. You go back to here, activity sheet, standard activity sheet. You can fill out the various information. When you click the plus button, it will create a new row and enter the date and time. You enter the mileage if it applies, the other information, and then your text of whatever. Here's, once again, is some basic information if you want just a quick down and dirty. But you can also enter just as much information as you want and later put it in a report if you wanted to. For instance, we're going to go back up here to this third party claim, and we we can see on our activity sheet where there's been quite a bit entered, which may be taken while you're on the phone talking to the person. You can take down this information. We'll go back. Activity sheet. After you've worked up your, I just want to say this. You need to select your activity and invoice number. It's best, especially if you're on a T&E basis, you need to have your activity and invoice number the same for your activity sheet and for your service invoice. This doesn't necessarily have to be the same as the number used on your reports, but in the case in which you've got multiple reports, it can be if it applies. But you do need to select this. All the activity list items for a given invoice number would be under, for instance, here under the 1, so that when you go over to your service invoice and set it up, this one's on a schedule, so it wouldn't apply. But if it was, let's see what we've got here. It's a schedule. That's a time and expense. We'll go back. For the service invoice, what you would do is set up the billing type, or verify it. In this case, schedule. The fee is set by in this case, by the adjusting company. It may be set by the insurer, or it could be such as an NFIP schedule. So you would select that, and then you set your fee. And that's based on the net loss, or rather the RC loss in this case. And then you can view the service invoice here and print it. There's also a place to print all of this at once, which is good. Right here you can go to your list of your invoices for a given selection. This will take us over to some brief instructions for that screen. Okay, and then there's a place to store assignment documents. Here's the loss notice, and here's the reports after they've been generated. Will be stored here and reviewed. Normally you can see that this is our buttons down here. The left-hand side is for storing the containers external to the program. If you were going out on a reinspection and needed to take a prior report with you, in the loss notice, for instance, or if you want to take the loss notices on those claims you're looking at on a given date, then you would click here, and it embeds that particular loss notice. I'm going to show you right here. There's nothing in here right now. We click this. It will embed the loss notice so that when you go to your to go to your iPad, that information will be embedded in Abakosti for your referral. When you get back, you can just click the other button and it transfers it back if it's not already there. For instance, if you're out in the field and you get a loss notice over the email and you enter it, you put it uh, in your program in Abakosti, and then you get back to your laptop and want to store it off of Abakosti, then you in your folders, then you can do that here by clicking that button. I'm going to get rid of it to keep the memory down. Similar on your reports. So that's a view of the Abakosti File Manager detail. We're next going to look at how an individual report is worked up.